If you're watching this, there's a good chance someone in your family has passed away or is in a difficult transition, and now you're responsible for selling a home in Marin County. Maybe you're the trustee, maybe you're the executor, maybe you're one of several heirs trying to figure this whole thing out together, or maybe you're the attorney or fiduciary advising the family. Whatever brought you here, I want you to know two things right off the top. First, this is not a normal real estate transaction. The legal structure is a bit different. The emotional weight clearly is different. The stakes, both financial and personal, are different. And the mistakes that get made in these sales are costly, and they're almost always avoidable. Second, the agent you choose for this will be the single biggest variable in how much equity your family actually walks away with. And I'm going to be very direct about that today, because too many families are hiring agents who may know how to process an estate sale, but have no idea how to actually maximize the equity from one. My name is Kyle Frazier. I'm a broker associate with Imagine Marin, brokered by Compass, and I'm a former litigation attorney who also worked at the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals with over 20 years of experience specializing in Marin County real estate. I've personally been named trustee and executor by my family members and even by a client family. And this isn't a niche I wandered into, it's one I was built for. So let's get into it. Let me walk you through the 5 things that make a trust, estate, or probate sale fundamentally different from a typical home sale. Because if you don't understand what's going in, you're going to make decisions based on assumptions that perhaps don't apply here. Number 1, multiple decision makers. In a normal sale, we've got one seller, maybe a couple. In an estate sale, you might have 3 siblings, a trustee, an attorney, and a CPA, all with different opinions, different timelines, and sometimes very different financial interests. Managing that alignment is a skill, and it's not just real estate, it's facilitation, communication, sometimes diplomacy. Number 2, legal and tax complexity. Depending on whether the property is held in a revocable trust, an irrevocable trust, or is going through formal probate, the rules are different. The timelines are different. The court requirements might be different. Your agent needs to understand the difference between a trust sale that can close in 30 days and a probate sale that needs and requires court confirmation and overbidding. If they don't, that's a problem. Number 3, the property itself. Many of the estate homes I handle in Marin haven't been updated in 20, 30, sometimes 40 or 50 years. We're talking about deferred maintenance, outdated systems, cosmetic conditions that will absolutely suppress buyer enthusiasm and by extension sales price. And unless they're addressed strategically, and I'll talk about exactly how we handle that in a few minutes, you're going to suffer. Number 4, you've got time pressure. Estates often need to be settled. There may be carrying costs, property taxes, insurance, HOA dues, maintenance. There may be legal deadlines. The family may be spread across the country. There's a real tension between moving quickly and moving wisely, and the right agent knows how to do both. Number 5, emotional weight. This is someone's home, often for decades, and the family isn't just selling a property, they're closing a chapter. And the people involved are frequently going through grief while simultaneously navigating one of the most complex financial transactions of their lives with the added pulleys and levers involved in estate work. That requires an agent who can lead with empathy while still executing with precision. Now, here's where I want to get really honest with you, because this is the part that could save your family a significant amount of money. When most people Google trust sale, real estate agent, or probate realtor in Marin County, they find agents who have positioned themselves in this niche, and on the surface, it looks great. Their website says all the right things. They talk about probate process, court confirmation, working with attorneys. But here's what I've learned after 20 plus years and hundreds of transactions in this county. Knowing the process of an estate sale and knowing how to maximize the outcome of an estate sale are 2 completely different skill sets. A lot of agents you'll find in this space, and I say this respectfully, are paper pushers. They understand the legal workflow. They are capable of coordinating with your attorney. They can get the property listed on the MLS and eventually get it closed, and that's all fine. But fine in Marin County can mean leaving $100,000, $250,000, or $500,000 or more on the table. Because here's the thing, the process piece is actually the easier part, especially if the agent doesn't really care about the results. Where the money is made or lost is in the marketing, the preparation, the pricing strategy, and negotiation. And those are areas where most generic estate specialist type agents are simply average. They're not top tier marketers. They're not elite negotiators. They're not spending thousands of dollars on imagery, cinematic video, Matterport tours, targeted digital campaigns. They're just putting the home on the MLS, maybe holding an open house or two, and hoping that the market does all the work for them. And in a normal market for a move-in ready home in a hot neighborhood, maybe that's enough. But for an estate property, one that really needs work and might have complications and is perhaps being sold by a family that needs every dollar it can get, that approach is a disservice. I mean, think about it this way. You wouldn't hire an accountant just because they know where to send a tax return. You'd hire the one who knows how to optimize that return and get you the most money back. Same principle applies here. The fiduciary responsibility you carry demands not just competence in process, but excellence in the execution. So the question isn't, can this agent handle a trust sale? The question should be, can this agent extract maximum equity for this property in this market and under these conditions? And that's a very different question, and it deserves a very different kind of answer. So let me show you what it looks like when you bring in a true strategic approach to an estate sale, because this is where the gap between a transactional agent and a strategic advisor becomes really clear. Step one, legal coordination from day one. Before we even talk about price, we need to understand the legal framework. Is this a trust sale? Full probate? Does the trust grant the trustee independent authority to sell, or do we need a court to confirm the sale? Are there any liens, disputes, or title issues? I work directly with your attorney, the title officer, and map the legal landscape before we even touch the marketing side. And my legal background, I did practice law and clerked at the federal appellate level, means that I speak their language fluently, and your attorney won't have to translate for me. Step two, defensible strategic planning. Estate sales often require a formal valuation for tax purposes and fiduciary reports. I can provide that detailed pricing analysis. Step three, strategic property preparations. And this is where most agents fall short and where most families lose the most money. The typical approach is to just sell the home as is and let the buyers discount it accordingly. And that's almost always the wrong move, because over 20 plus years in Marin, I've built a deep network of reliable contractors, clean out crews, painters, landscapers, professional stagers who understand the unique demands of estate properties and who can mobilize quickly. We coordinate the entire preparation process on behalf of the family, managing every vendor, every timeline, every dollar. The investment process typically pays for itself in a multitude of X. If you spend $10,000, you're likely to see an increased sales price of $50,000 or $100,000. And I'll help you evaluate that math up front so that every decision you make as trustee is defensible and all of the beneficiaries appreciate and recognize that you are operating with a max ROI approach. Step four, cinematic marketing, not just a MLS upload. This is where my approach diverges most sharply from standard generic agents in this realm. All of my listings get treated as a valuable asset, which means architectural photography, 4K video, Matterport, drones, websites, and most importantly, distribution across the YouTube and Google ecosystem, not just simple posts on YouTube hoping that somebody shares it. I'm placing your property in front of active, high-intent buyers through search-based marketing that compounds over time. In step five, elite negotiation, my training doesn't disappear when I'm at the negotiation table for your home. I know how to read a buyer's position, how to structure counteroffers that create urgency, and how to protect your interest through inspection disputes or appraisal challenges and closing complications. This is where the legal background really helps. And I do know the process, and I do know how to win inside of that process. Let me get deeper on the property preparation thing, because for estate sales specifically, this is where the biggest equity gains or losses happen. Picture a typical estate home. Mom and dad lived there for 35 years. The carpets are original. Kitchen hasn't been touched since the 90s. There's a lifetime of furniture and personal belongings, and the landscaping's been on autopilot. Now, a paper pusher agent looks at that and says, hey, let's sell it as is. Estate buyers expect a discount, and they're right. Estate sale buyers do expect a discount, which is exactly why you don't want to sell it looking like it's an estate sale. When we take on an estate property, we transform it working with our vetted network of local contractors who specialize in rapid, high-impact turnarounds. We coordinate the clean out, freshen up the paint, update the fixtures, put in professional staging and landscape, and improve the curb appeal. Then it's not an estate sale. It's just a beautifully presented home that happens to be held in a trust. And that reframing changes the buyer pool. It changes the perception, and most importantly, it changes the price. Now, I know what you're all thinking, who pays for this, and that's where a great agent earns their fee, by having an honest, data-driven conversation with the trustee, the attorney, the family, and we'll present the cost of what the preparations look like alongside with a projected return backed by comparable data from the specific micro market. And in most cases, the state has funds to authorize a targeted investment. In others, the family just agrees to the cost, knowing that the return at closing will be multiples of their spend. Either way, the decision is transparent, defensible, and grounded in real numbers, not just guesswork. I've handled estate properties where a $35,000 preparation investment resulted in a sale price that exceeded expectations by well over $100,000, and that can often be more than that. The kind of return isn't theoretical, it's documented, and we can show you the numbers. I want to flag something that catches a lot of estate sellers and their attorneys off guard in today's market, and that's insurance. In Marin County right now, homeowners insurance is in crisis. Carriers are pulling out of wildfire exposed areas. Premiums have skyrocketed. The FAIR plan, California's insurer of last resort, is capped at $3 million, which doesn't go very far in Marin's luxury market. And here's why this matters for estate sales. Buyers who can't secure acceptable insurance cannot close escrow, period. And I've seen transactions fall apart because the buyer's lender required insurance the buyer couldn't get or couldn't afford. A strategic agent anticipates this and will evaluate that in advance. And we know which neighborhoods, which fire severity zones are going to create the friction, and we can proactively develop solutions, and whether that's pre-qualifying the property or just documenting defensible space improvements, we can structure the deal to account for insurance realities. And if your agent's not thinking about this before you list, you're going to be scrambling when a deal falls through. And in an estate sale with carrying costs and legal timelines, a failed escrow isn't just frustrating, it's very expensive. One more thing I'd like to address directly, because it comes up in almost every estate sale that I handle. The family's not local. The person who passed lived in Marin, but the children, trustees, the heirs, they're in LA or New York or Portland, overseas. They can't fly up every weekend to check on the property. They can't meet contractors. They can't attend open houses. This is where having a full service team on the ground matters enormously. We handle everything. Remote digital signatures, regular video updates, 3D walkthroughs so you can see the property's condition without having to board a plane, coordinating with the clean out crews, contractors, and stagers. You should never feel like you have to be physically present to have full visibility and control over the process. And our job is to be your trusted eyes, ears, and hands in Marin so you can make informed decisions from wherever you are. If you're an attorney, a professional fiduciary, or a CPA watching this, let me speak to you directly for just a minute. Your obligation to protect the estate and its beneficiaries is real. And when you refer a real estate agent, your reputation is attached to that referral. So here's what I'd encourage you to evaluate. Does the agent that you use understand the legal distinctions between trust, probate, conservatorship, sales, etc., without you having to teach them? And can they produce defensible valuations that stand up to scrutiny from the beneficiaries, the IRS, of course? And do they have marketing capability to maximize the sale price, or are they just going to list it and hope for the best? Do they have a track record of navigating multi-party family dynamics without creating additional conflict or tension? And this is the one most people forget. Can they negotiate at the level your client's estate deserves? I've been selected as trustee and executor by client families, and that's not a title given because you can fill out paperwork. It's a title you earn because people trust your judgment, your discretion, your ability to deliver under pressure. And if you need a go-to agent in Marin County for estate sales or anything else, someone who handles your world and understands it, because you lived in it, I'd welcome a conversation, of course, confidentially. Let me give you a few examples, without names, of course, of how this plays out in practice. I'll start with one that's personal because it illustrates something you won't find on most agents' resumes. A client's father, a man I'd worked with and built a relationship over time, named me in his trust as both trustee and executor, not just the listing agent, the trustee, the executor. And he specifically designated me to sell his Mill Valley home upon his passing. And think about that level of trust for a moment. I mean, this man looked at me and everyone in his life and decided that I was the person he wanted managing his estate and protecting his beneficiaries. And it was not a simple situation. In fact, the largest beneficiary had advanced dementia, and it took me roughly 6 weeks just to locate her. Several of the other beneficiaries were living in Europe, and there were other legal complexities at every turn. But working closely with a local attorney who specializes in wills and trusts, I navigated the family dynamics, coordinated across time zones, and managed from start to finish. And on the property side, I identified several high ROI improvements, strategic, targeted, not a full renovation, and I managed those preparations personally. And the house ended up selling for probably about 25% more than it would have had I just gone the as-is route. Of course, it's Mill Valley, so small differences can make a big impact on sales price. Did it take more of my time? Yes. Was it a little more complex than a standard listing? By an order of magnitude. But the beneficiaries were absolutely 100% certain that I did the absolute best job that they could have hoped for. And a paper pushing agent, probably would not have been able to capture much equity at all out of this house had they just gone the direct as-is route. Yeah. And, I understand the dynamics involved, not just professionally, but personally, the weight of that responsibility, the family conversations you need to have, and all the decisions that keep you up at night. I've been in those shoes, and across my career, I've represented dozens of trustees, executors, professional fiduciaries throughout the county. And every situation is different family dynamics, legal structures, properties, goals. The common thread is this: families who hire a strategic advisor instead of just a transactional paper pusher are consistently going to walk away with more equity, less stress, and a overall end game that they can be proud of and happy with. If you're managing a trust or estate sale in Marin County, or if you're an attorney, fiduciary, or CPA who advises families going through this, I'd be honored to have a conversation. This is not a pitch, it's just a standing offer for a confidential consultation where we can discuss specifics of the situation, the property, legal framework, what a truly strategic approach might look like. And I'll put the direct link to my trust and estates sale webpage in a link below. If you found this helpful, I'd also appreciate it if you'd share it with anyone you know who might be going through this right now. Estate sales are one of the most consequential and stressful financial events families really ever have to navigate, and the right guidance makes all the difference. I'm Kyle Frazier with Imagine Marin, brokered by Compass. Thank you for watching.